tonight and only on 5. This grainy DC surveillance video and the investigation that followed has an elderly grandmother calling for the firing of a high-ranking Cleveland official.
And I'm very concerned about Cleveland. I really am.
Vashti Sherrod says Philip McHugh humiliated and traumatized her over a bogus allegation when he was a Washington, D.C. police detective. Tonight, McHugh defends his actions.
I had no evidence throughout this investigation to refute what happened.
News 5 investigator Sarah Buttison broke the story about the Sherrod's case against McHugh and his personal connection to Mayor Justin Bibb last month. She's here live in the studio with the Sherrod story.
Damon, it all started 9 years ago after a fender bender outside a flower shop in Washington, D.C. It led former D.C. police detective Philip McHugh to launch a criminal investigation into then 76-year-old Vashti Sherrod, who said from the start she did not have a gun.
But I'm still not totally free because I have repeat stuff in my head and in my mind.
In May of 2015, a driver backed into Vashti's Mercedes, which was parked on the street. They argued. Then, several hours later, the other driver called police. She said Vashti pulled out a black pistol and threatened to shoot her.
He believed the white woman from day one. He never believed me.
Records showed neither she nor her then 72-year-old husband Eugene, who was with her, owned a gun. Surveillance video was too grainy to tell what happened. During his deposition, McHugh said he and prosecutors decided to go forward. He alerted law enforcement to be on the lookout for the Sherrod's car. 5 weeks later, police pulled them over.
The Capitol Hill police were yelling at us, "Pull over, stop the car, stop, pull over, do it right now." I was so scared.
Eugene, who was blind, ducked under the dashboard. They both cried.
There were 2 officers with shotguns on the side of my window.
McHugh showed up, searched their car. No gun. She says he then requested she follow him to the police station.
I was too afraid of him. I told him no.
Then, just days later, she and Eugene were in bed when they heard banging at their door.
Next thing we know, the door comes flying open. Bam! They knocked the whole door down.
It was police. McHugh had a search warrant. She says officers left their home in shambles. Again, no gun.
I felt like I had no rights left as an American citizen. It was like, how could this happen to us?
His investigation wasn't over. McHugh got a warrant for her arrest. Vashti turned herself in and was sent to jail.
Woman of my age, when you've got shackles around your feet and you can't walk and you're falling down.
She was released the same day on her own recognizance.
It just hurt me so much. He didn't have to do that to me.
And as I've said, publicly before, I am sorry for what happened to her.
Philip McHugh acknowledged his investigation was, quote, a terrible event for the elderly couple.
But this was not something that I set out nefariously to do to her.
Months later, the charges were dropped. Remember the driver who hit the Sherrod's Mercedes? When she met with prosecutors, her story changed. According to his deposition, she now said the gun was a silver revolver, not a black pistol. McHugh said it was the first time he learned the woman, who was white, had memory and mental health issues. Why did you believe her and not Mrs. Sherrod?
I didn't believe any one more than the other. I believed the evidence and the facts that I could prove.
What was that?
A victim statement plus video that did not refute what happened.
But it didn't support what happened either.
Right, but it didn't undercut probable cause.
But a federal judge wasn't convinced. After the charges were dropped, the Sherrods sued McHugh and D.C. police. In this order, allowing their case to go forward, the judge wrote, at this stage, the court cannot conclude that Detective McHugh's actions were supported by probable cause at any point during the investigation. The reason? To obtain the search and arrest warrants, McHugh stated the security video corroborates the victim's series of events. The judge wrote, a reasonable jury may conclude that Detective McHugh himself procured the warrants through materially false statements. The city settled the lawsuit. McHugh blamed the investigation on prosecutors with the U.S. Attorney's Office. They were not named in the lawsuit.
Looking back on this after the last 10 years, I would probably press harder. I would probably press harder not to have the case move forward.
Records show Cleveland hired McHugh in January. His title, Senior Public Safety Advisor. Last month, we revealed McHugh was also Mayor Justin Bibb's college roommate.
So that's how he got the job. Oh, okay.
In an email, the city's communications chief said there were other applicants and that McHugh has received several commendations, promotions, and awards throughout his career. Eugene died in March. Despite her grief, Vashti decided to speak out. She says the mayor made a mistake.
Pull up your big boy pants if you're a man. Hire somebody else for your office because you'll see. You will see. And it's going to come back to haunt you.
McHugh says he deserves a chance. Tomorrow, we'll show you his response to calls for his termination and what we learned about how he got his job. I'm News 5 investigator Sarah Buttison.
Sarah, thank you for staying on the story. Look forward to your future reports.